A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to HJN. And for HJN Season 3, I'm especially proud to be able to talk a bit about graphics for number 2089. As you pretty much know, graphics are in fact a visual aspect that's typically rendered on computers. Not much more to say on that part. Although I could get a bit into the evolution of how graphics have simply gone from being a tiny pixel on a screen to possibly billions that are on all our flat screens nowadays. Basically, you could say that with the computers first being around for military usage almost a century ago, especially with the likes of the first televisions that were invented in the 1920s, it's safe to say that within a decade or two, it was able to catch on to other forms of technology. And the government especially was able to use this kind of tech before it became such a big consumer product. First in the 60s and 70s, where it was basically an enormous room full of ginormous lights, buttons, switches, and other such things that you could find in one computer alone. But, believe it or not, less than a decade later, such high-end innovators that were around, including the likes of Commodore, Apple, IBM, and even Microsoft. This was the time in the 1980s especially when computers were basically smaller in size. These were the kind of computers that were in fact ginormous by today's standards, but even with a lot of today's monitors and whatnot, you could take a few steps back and marvel at such a number of things that were put together. But the understanding here is that graphics, in the basis of computer technology, innovation, and decades of advancements, it's safe to say that with all the things that have been put together, it seems that graphics are one thing that people are looking forward to showcase. And it also is something that has been worth bragging about, especially when the video game era took place. The 1980s and 1990s were big points in history alone when graphics were apparently the source of every conversation and the focal point of every known bit of common speech that we have ever exuded. Even today, people happen to be looking forward on what is the next best PlayStation 5 game that we can get. What are the graphic levels on that? How well are such things, including the color, frame rate, and other such things put together? How well can all this work out? At this very point, it could become just a big debate topic right now, but we're not really going to go in that direction. I certainly won't. So we'll just go ahead and end it right here. If you want to see more, go down to my channel to make sure that you know the 5 things that I typically ask.